Hello, everyone, and welcome. My name is Emily Britt, and I serve as the Associate Dean of Students here at Sewanee, which is a really cool job that lets me do lots of different things, some of which you'll actually hear about tonight. But one of those things is I am responsible for new student orientation and helping all of our departments provide excellent programming to welcome our new students and their families to campus in August. So tonight you have joined us for a webinar all about experiencing Sewanee, where we really want to talk about how students get involved, make friends, find connection, and make this place feel like home when they get here, no matter where they're coming from. So in just a second, I'm going to have some panelists introduce themselves to you. They'll be doing the bulk of the talking tonight, but want to run through a couple of features of our webinar. So this is a webinar format Zoom, which means that you can submit questions in two ways. First is through the chat. You should be able to send the host or any of the panelists a message in the chat, and we'd be happy to answer those questions either directly to you or out loud when it's time for questions. The other way is through the Q&A box. So that should be at the bottom of your screen. That allows you to submit a question, and we will either ask it out loud and have the panelists respond, or if it's something specific, we'll respond either here to you or I'll send a follow-up email, especially if it's something particular to your student or your situation that may not be relevant for everyone. So if you have any technical issues at any time, please feel free to give us a chat. And again, we're just really grateful that you're here tonight. So with that said, I'm going to ask my panelists to all turn on their cameras and they will appear, and then I'll have them introduce themselves one by one. There we go. Okay, so just to start off, everybody, if you will, tell us your name, your title, and maybe what one of your favorite things about Sewanee, maybe your favorite Sewanee tradition, your favorite thing to eat in McClurg, our dining hall, or just what you feel like makes campus really special. So to start off, Carter, do you mind going first?
Absolutely. Hello, everyone. I'm Carter Brown. I'm the Assistant Director of Student Involvement here at Sewanee, where I advise student organizations and work with our Student Government Association, which I'll talk a little bit about later. But one of my favorite traditions on campus is the gowning and seeing all the students who have been gowned in their gowns across campus.
That's a good one. Okay, up next is Morgan.
Hi, everyone. I'm Morgan Jennings. I'm the coordinator for student programming in the Office of Civic Engagement. I'm also a graduate from Sewanee class of 2020. Part of my role in the Office of Civic Engagement is co-directing our Bonner and Canally internship programs and working on our alternative break outreach trip program, which I'll get into in a little bit. But one of my favorite parts about Sewanee is the sense of community that people have here. We all live, work, and play in the same place. And so it's really fun to see that integration with everyone across campus and beyond.
Awesome. Ivory, can you go next?
Yes, ma'am. Hello, everyone. Nice to meet you. My name is Ivory Roberts. I am the Assistant Director of Student Programs here at Sewanee. And I oversee the Bill Commons and help with student involvement events and oversee the Tiger Entertainment Board that we'll get into a little bit later. But one of my favorite traditions here at Sewanee is when you enter through either of the gates, you touch the roof of your car. And it's like the guardian angels that's on campus protect you as you're going out. And then when you come in, they protect you as you're coming in. I thought that was really awesome. And when I first came here, that's my favorite tradition.
That's a good one too. And Dan.
Hello. Hey, I'm Dan Harper. I'm the Assistant Director over at the Sewanee Outing Program, which we call around here the SOP. We wear many hats, to be honest, but our main mode of working with students is getting them outside, doing things like riding bicycles, going rock climbing, caving, hiking, backpacking, lots of different activities. A lot of it we are very lucky to do right here on campus, right out the front door. Sometimes you don't even have to get in a car to get to where we want to go. So we have a very, very strong program because of that, and because of our student leaders. Yeah, which I hopefully will get to talk about a lot more in a minute. But favorite Sewanee tradition or thing about Sewanee, I love that I can walk everywhere. everything I need to get. I can just walk out the door. I can walk to work. I can walk to my friend's house. I can walk to go get some food if I want. I think it's very lovely, and it's a very quiet town for that reason.
That's great. So, and Dan is also a Sewanee alum, class of 2019.
No, right there with Morgan, 2020.
2020. Okay. Perfect.
Yeah.
So we do have a few alums who can talk a little bit about their student experience in addition to their staff experience. So we are going to have each of our panelists share a little bit more about the areas that they just quickly introduced you to provide some more insight about how they connect with students and how you can think about getting your student involved. You know your students well, what they've been doing in high school or college if they're a transfer student, and what they might want to plug into here when they arrive. So Carter is going to kick it off for us first. So we'll give the virtual microphone over to Carter.
Thank you, Emily. So for this, I'm going to share my screen and kind of give y'all a nice little overview of our main website for student organizations on campus, which we call Engage. So this is kind of your go-to for all information on campus. So your new students, when they're on campus, they're getting situated, looking for things to do. This is a great place to come. And so I'm just going to kind of give a little overview here. So we have all of our events that are, coming in the next couple of days. A lot of them are geared toward new student orientation, but say it's a Friday night and I'm looking for something to do, or a Tuesday night, I'm going to come here, I'm going to click more events, and I'm going to kind of see what's going on. So a lot of cool stuff going on. We have a lot of fitness classes. All those are registered in the Wellness Commons, so you can, go check that out. And so Tiger Fest, study aways and activities, a lot of fun stuff to choose from. I'm just going to click on one of these to get a little more information. So Student Activities Fair, which is going to occur August 27th on the main quad. And just to get a little more information about it, the students can look at it. We see the dates there, a little description, some perks to try to get them to attend. And yeah, so this is just kind of where they can see what's going on any given day, week, month around campus. And so specifically, if a student's interested in something, this would also be the go-to spot to come. Say for example, they're very into food or cooking. So I'm going to come here and we can kind of we can search a group. Sorry, screen's lagging a little bit. So here, for example, we have this Sewanee Culinary Society. This is, the page of that student organization where your student can read all about that group. We also have contact information. If they're interested in joining that group, they can reach out directly to the president of that club and, kind of facilitate that relationship and start attending meetings. They can also take a look at the roster to see which students are involved in that club. So just a really awesome way to get involved and see what's going on around campus. And then specifically, I'm going to give a little shout out to the Student Government Association. If any students, new students are looking to join that, we accept 5 new students in the fall semester. And the Student Government Association is, tasked primarily with building relationships with faculty and staff and pushing student initiatives forward. So there'll be 5 positions that they can run for in the fall, and that process would begin about 2 weeks into the fall semester. So around September 16th ish is when they can look for that. But again, Engage is a great resource to get involved in campus and kind of see what's offered to them. So that's the end of my little spiel there.
Awesome. Thanks, Carter. Ivory, I think you're up next to talk to us about programming.
Yeah, most definitely. And thank you, Carter. And I'm going to share my screen here. And to piggyback on Carter, I'm going to show you the Engage page as well, and a couple more things. So when you can see my screen, this is an Engage page, as Carter said. And one of the one of the people that I oversee is Tiger Entertainment Board. And so you just type in Tiger, and then Entertainment Board should pop up right here under Organizations. And so when you click on that, you can see all the rage of our events, what we do, and one of our biggest things is Swanaroo as well. You'll see that posted kind of everywhere. But if you want to go on our gallery page, we archive all of our things on the gallery page, and I can send those links to you as well. And then just down right here, if you want to get in contact with us, you email tigerentertainment@sewanee.edu. That's our office number. And then again, all the events that we do will be right there under all events. They're not loaded yet, but they will be loaded in just a couple of weeks. And then our officers as well. My next thing that I would like to show you is our Instagram. If I can get my computer to, here we go. So this is our Instagram page where you can see all of TEB's, Tiger Entertainment Board's activities and everything that we do. And one thing that we are trying to enhance on is communication with around campus. And so you come over here and see all of the activities that we do, and that's how you learn about it. So I always say to students, if you want to know what's happening on campus, join the Tiger Entertainment Board Instagram and turn on your notifications, because we do have this thing called Tiger Tuesday, which we give prizes out, people win TVs, Apple Watches, AirPods, things of that nature. And then also we have all of these events, and you can go through here and just look at the many different pictures and the concerts. This is Swanaroo, and then I think we have more to come, but I just can't see the little bubbles. But we have lots and lots of fun. But if you click this follow button, and your students can click it as well, you'll know everything that's going on within the Tiger Entertainment Board. Another aspect that I oversee is the Bill Commons. So the Bill Commons is our newest renovation to the campus, and we urge everyone to use it as well. And so with that, I want all students to use it. We have different variety of games. One thing that's I'll say a trivia fact is we have over 150 games that students can play. The hours of the Bill Commons, Monday through Friday, are 8 a.m. to 10 p.m. So they have more than enough time to get their gaming in. And then on Saturday and Sunday, and yes, we are open Sunday, it is 10 a.m. to 10 p.m. And on study nights, we'll be open to 1 a.m. We also have a Bill Commons Cafe that is now called the Alley Cafe, that they are able to stop in and get real good food. They have a bowl, one of these things that's called a bowl, and build your own bowl like Chipotle. It's really good. And one of my favorite things from the Bill Commons is the cheese dip. It tastes just very tremendous. But they sell ice cream. Sometimes they'll do a little special with tostadas and empanadas, things of that nature, because we have a well diverse of students here, and one person's heart is in the food. And so you have all that coming around. And so feel free to stop by the Bill Commons. Our operating hours will reopen back Monday through Sunday. We'll reopen on August 12th. So we'll be open on August 12th. So come by and see us. And you as parents as well, it's a great spot for when you come in and move your student in. You can come in, have a bowl, have boba. We have boba as well. And also sit down, play games with your students, watch TV, and just realize the culture that the University of the South has. All right.
Thanks, Ivory. Really appreciate you talking to us about all of the programming that happens on campus. I'm actually filling in tonight for our director of Greek life as well. Greek life is one of the areas that reports to me, and I have the privilege of working with. So Greek life on Sewanee's campus is a really large way that students are involved. The best way to learn about Greek life is they've recently updated their website, so I'm sharing that with you now. But a couple of fast facts about the community. Sewanee's Greek community, last spring, we finished the year with 68% of undergraduates being involved in one of our organizations, which is really large. One of the things that our community is really proud of and that they focus a lot on is making sure that the community remains an open and inclusive community. And so almost every Greek event is open to all of campus, not just to their members. They do a handful of closed events a year, but really their events, social events, philanthropy events, just hanging out, all of that is open to the whole campus. And so that is something that makes Sewanee's community a little unique. One of the other things that makes Sewanee's Greek community a little unique is that many of our groups are local organizations rather than national organizations. So that means that they are the only chapter of that organization in the nation. And so they have more flexibility in how they run and operate their group. And so we have a mix. Most of our fraternities are national groups. Most of our sororities are local groups. And there are pros and cons to both types of organizations. National groups have a national involvement, right? They are connected to chapters across the country and a national headquarters and all of that. But that also means that they follow a national structure, whereas local groups don't have those national connections, but do have the flexibility to make the organization what they want it to be year over year. So your student gets to make that decision for themselves, which is really great. So on the Greek Life website, which I'll put in the chat in just a second, is a lot of information. So there's information about Greek life in general, including the priorities of the office and how the office supports our students and our student groups. More information about the Greek Council, so that's the governing leaders for all of our chapters, as well as a list of all of our chapters, more about them. We have information about recruitment, including resources just for parents and families. So on this parent and family website, there's lots of information. So again, sort of those fast facts about the community, tips and tricks, recommendations that we have about how you can talk to your student about their interest in the Greek community, and once if they join, their experience there. And then also just, again, more important topics, ways that you can talk to your student about the time commitment that may be taking on and what is good and what might be a challenge. So lots of information on the Greek Life website, as well as the programs and education that the office does in collaboration with our students. Because, again, our groups are primarily local and we're a small campus community, we don't have new students join fraternities and sororities until the spring semester. So if you have a brand new student, they graduated from high school this year, they will not participate in fraternity or sorority recruitment until the spring. And that usually happens in February. If you have a transfer student that's coming, they can participate in what our campus calls uprush or upperclassmen recruitment, which is in the fall. That is happening in late September into October this year. That deferred system works really well here. Our students tend to really like it. They operate it for themselves as well. We support them, but they really are in charge of it, which is also an awesome experience for them. Greek Life does a webinar for parents of the students who are registered for recruitment each semester so that we can talk more about, here's what you need to know about recruitment, here are the things to know about this. What does the financial commitment look like? I think that my prior role before I came to Sewanee, I actually worked in Greek Life as a Greek advisor at an SEC campus for almost 10 years. So I've been in that field for a long time, and I will tell you that you can expect the dues here significantly lower than what you might be experiencing other campuses, as well as the expectations around housing and all of that. The Greek community here is a great reflection of the Sewanee experience holistically because it involves so many of our students, but also because it is Sewanee, our community is shaped like Sewanee. It's focused on community, it's focused on being open and inclusive, it's focused on all of those things that make Sewanee special. So happy to answer more questions about that, but Donald couldn't be here with us tonight. I'm going to drop some links again for y'all to check out, but that is another great way that students can get involved and connected on campus. So Morgan, you're up next.
Awesome. Thanks, Emily. I'm also going to share my screen very quickly. So this is the Office of Civic Engagement's website. If you go through here, you can see our vision and mission statement and our different programs, resources for community partners. Community partners are what we refer to as the various organizations outside of Sewanee that we work with, many of which are nonprofit organizations or public institutions such as schools or governmental offices in local municipalities, both within and outside of Sewanee's gates. I'm just going to click here with our OCE programs and quickly run through some of our things. So we have what we refer to as community engaged learning. We actually have an academic certificate in which students can tag on to either their major or minor, in which they're also able to explore and apply their experiences in the community with their academics. And so we're very proud of that ability for students to get that experiential learning through different programs in the Office of Civic Engagement that can also supplement what they're learning in the classroom and vice versa, where what they're learning in the classroom, they're able to actually go ahead and start applying in real world applications by working with some of our community partner organizations while they're still in school. They can do that through programs like the Bonner and Canale Leader Program, which are year-long academic year-long leadership and service scholarship programs, where they also are provided with professional and personal development trainings, as well as getting experience in the field working with a number of our community partners. Currently, we have students working with about 40 organizations across 4 counties. So that's Franklin, Coffee, Marion, and Grundy counties here in Tennessee. And so that's really amazing experience for students to be able to go out and create community beyond the gates, where they're also able to forge relationships with folks outside of the gates of Sewanee, which I feel like only enriches their sense of community in this place. And then we also have an outreach trip and service away program where we have students going to a number of places to serve different communities during their breaks, such as we have students go to Ecuador and Costa Rica during spring break. We also have students who are able to go to Selma, Alabama at various times throughout the year. And those are just some of the examples of outreach trips that we have. We also have a Dialogue Across Difference program. A signature part of the Dialogue Across Difference program is what we call Dinner and Dialogue, which is where students, faculty, and staff are able to come together and just practice in dialogue and civil discourse across a variety of topics. With an election year coming up, we will actually be giving a lot of space for students and faculty and staff to engage in conversation around just that, about democracy and the role that higher education institutions such as Sewanee has in an election season, and just a space for us to feel community in a time that can feel a little divisive. And so that's what the Dialogue Across Difference program serves, how it serves our campus and our students. We also have an AmeriCorps program, which is essentially the domestic version of Peace Corps. If you're more familiar with Peace Corps, Sewanee has our own AmeriCorps program at the university, in which students and community members alike are able to serve in the community in more elevated ways. So students are able to spend anywhere from 10, 20, 30, 40 hours a week even to go and engage across the South Cumberland Plateau, where Sewanee is located, very similarly to the Bonner and Canale program, except it has a little more of a time commitment, but it also has an educational award, which you can learn more about on our website. We also have a program called Sewanee Votes, where students are able to engage in conversation. We work closely with the Dialogue Across Difference program. We also provide voting resources for students, and I'll talk about that just a little bit. We also have a Pathways to Civic Engagement, which is what we call our volunteer opportunities program, where we communicate any opportunities that are shared with us from our community partners, where students are able to go and engage in short-term service opportunities during the school year. We also provide a service, a resource for students called the Student Supply Closet, which any undergraduate and seminarian student is able to access during the school year. And that's located not in our office. We are located on Texas Avenue next to the Fowler Center. For those of you who have been able to visit our campus, we're right here on Texas Avenue next to the gymnasium on campus. But the Student Supply Closet is actually more on central campus, so it's very easily accessed for any student who needs to utilize it. We also sponsor one of the student organizations called the Community Engagement House, which is a learning living community, formerly, colloquially called the Coho, where students are able to live with like-minded students in a small cohort in a house on campus, which is very fun for them. And they're able to create programming, and which includes like having coffee and conversations with local community members and providing resources for students to learn more about how to engage in the community while they're on Sewanee's campus. Talking about the upcoming election, I just want to highlight real quick the resources that we have for students who may be first-time voters or are planning to vote absentee. We have TurboVote, which is our online platform where students are able to register to vote, check their voter registration status. They're also able to apply for an absentee ballot if they're able to. You can also get your student to sign up for election notifications, where they'll get SMS text messages notifying them about different election dates that are relevant to them depending on where they plan to vote. We also have these state-by-state voting guides on our website. Different states have different policies around registering to vote. For instance, you may see that October 7th is the last date to register to vote in order to participate in our upcoming presidential election. However, for someone like a Tennessee resident, for them to vote absentee, they would need to have already voted in person once before they can vote absentee. So that's why we have these state voting guides for students to be aware of what their individual states' certain policies are when it comes to voting. And so that's a resource that our office provides here on our website as well. And they can also find similar resources on the TurboVote platform. Going back to talking about our short-term service opportunities, we have this amazing website called sewanee.givepulse.com, where students are able to find any volunteer opportunity that they may want. Volunteering has been shown to be a great way for students to find belonging and camaraderie around students who are like-minded and want to serve and kind of reach beyond themselves and find some civic agency through volunteerism. And so our Give Pulse platform is a way for students to find opportunities such as that. So they could say, I'm looking for a volunteer opportunity locally. Because we aren't currently in session right now, there aren't any lit events listed, but they can go to this groups tab and they can find a number of our community partner organizations listed here and are able to contact them through Give Pulse as well if they're interested in the work that they find any of our community partner organizations doing. I'm going to stop there, but I invite you all to continue exploring our website to see what other opportunities your students may be interested in while they're in Sewanee.
Thanks, Morgan, for all the work that you do in the Office of Civic Engagement. So many ways for students to get involved. We also weren't able to have our team from Inclusive Excellence join us today. They are on a staff retreat. So they shared a quick video that I want to share with all of you. The Office of Inclusive Excellence is part of our Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion division. They are sort of the programming and outreach arm and have some really great staff. So let me get that pulled up for us now. This will also be posted separately later if you want to watch it.
Hello, welcome to the Office of Inclusive Excellence. Meet our team. Dr. Rachel Fredericks is the director of OIE, and I am Tarnika Ezel, the assistant director. Our dedicated team is committed to fostering a diverse, equitable, and inclusive environment where everyone can thrive. Our collective expertise and passion drive initiatives that celebrate and support the richness of our community. Under DEI, the Office of Inclusive Excellence is located in the EQB building, which is situated between McClurg and the Wellness Center. As the Assistant Director, I oversee inclusive programs and student engagement here at Sewanee. On the first day of classes, we are hosting the Willie Six Cookout. It will be at the MCC from 12 to 4 p.m. This will be a great opportunity for first-year students to meet the DEI staff, meet other students, and to get a feel of what programming looks like on campus. Here's a list of the programs we will have this fall. We provide intellectual and social programs that advance community efforts to positively shift cultural dynamics and proactively mitigate exclusion. For each program, I create a flyer that can be seen around campus, on social media, and I also send emails out to students. Most of our programs are held at our Ayers Multicultural Center. It is also known as the MCC. It is located on Willie Six Road, which is behind Hunter Hall. To learn more about our office and to see what we have going on, please follow us on Instagram.
So that was a very quick snapshot of the great work that happens in inclusive excellence for our students. They also run a couple of cohort programs and provide a lot of mentoring to students who may be coming here and looking to explore their culture, explore other cultures, and lots of other ways to connect with their peers on campus. So you will definitely see them and your student will definitely see them right from the start when they join us at orientation. Okay, our last sort of talking head moment before we do Q&A is Dan from the SOP.
Hello again, Dan Harper. First of all, thank you everyone for sharing. This has been fun for me even to hear from everyone. So many great ways for people to meet each other and make some pretty special connections. Emily, if you wanted to pull up the SOP website, I don't know how to do that myself, but feel free to do that. The SOP, Sewanee Outing Program. Yes, as Emily mentioned, also I was a student here. And as you might imagine, I did a fair bit of activities with the outing program, including, that's me right there. There's the green coat, I'm in the blue, the blue hat. No more to the other way, it doesn't matter. Anyway, that trip right there is the winter mountaineering trip in Colorado, and it's 2 weeks with a pretty extended backcountry section, camping in the snow, cooking in the snow, summiting 14,000-foot peaks in snowshoes. And you might be thinking, well, how do you get ready for that in Tennessee? But we do it. We do training runs at night and get used to breathing cold air, nice slow pace. We do a lot of work acclimating when we get into Lake City. These little things really set our students up for success. But that is one trip of 250, 270 that we're able to pull off each year. Most of them local. So what I think the most common question people have is, how do we know about your trips? And for your your student coming here, they have their Sewanee email and they are opted in automatically for any of our trips. Whether that's a creek walk down Wiggins and up Pinckney Branch over below Morgan Steep, or a training ride for the MS 150 2-day 150-mile bike ride to raise money to fight multiple sclerosis, they get that email. We are really focused on providing an environment where people are learning and they're open to making friends. That is my goal when I run a trip, is to provide people with enough confidence to just focus on being with other people while they're learning a cool skill like going rock climbing. And I sort of started to mention some of the activities earlier, but a more exhaustive list would be things like caving. We have 26,000 registered caves in the Tennessee, Alabama, Georgia region. We have amazing rock climbing right on campus, like a walk just right out your door. Not to mention nearby is also really great. We do a fair bit of trail running in the SOP. And that one's really neat because a lot of people really carry a lot of painful memories from running. And I've seen many students rewrite that in their mind when they go for a nice slow-paced run through the woods. And it can really, I've seen it grow into a real passion. I'm seeing a question here about costs. That is a great question. Thank you for reminding me of that. Our local trips are totally free to students. Our gear, we have a nice extensive gear inventory in the office. It is free to check out gear. We, in fact, don't even call it rentals because you don't have to pay anything. Our bigger trips are away trips, which I'll mention a couple of them here real quick. Those cost a little bit of money, but they are heavily subsidized to provide access to anybody. We really want that to be not an issue for our students because these experiences are so unique. And we have a campus that is just unlike anywhere else. It is really a sacred place. And being able to do these things out of our front door is really neat. And so, yeah, I mentioned some bigger trips here at the beginning, Colorado winter mountaineering, but I'll just go down kind of in my mind real quick. The three big ones would be the winter break trip, mountaineering in Colorado, and then spring break trip. We have two trips that are pretty big. Shelf Road rock climbing, and that's in southern Colorado, sort of in the desert. Though it still snowed 2 feet on us at the end of this past spring break. And that's 7 days of sport climbing on limestone. And the other big ticket kind of favorite of the program is the Rio Grande trip. And that's 8 days of canoeing on the Rio Grande, which is the national border between Texas and Mexico. And that one is really splendid. There's actually a picture right here, extended off-campus trips. That's the Rio right there. So you can see 1,000-foot limestone cliffs with some tamarind on the side of the river right there and some really beautiful blue sky. So it's 2-person to a canoe, all loaded down with gear and sleeping under the stars every night. Yeah, that's hopefully a good spiel there. There's a lot of details I've left out, but I'm happy to answer any questions here in a moment. Are there limited spots on this trip? I'll answer that question real quick, Emily. Sorry. Are there limited places for these trips? I think you mean spots for students. Yeah, we'll have a cap on a lot of our trips. Sometimes, like a perimeter trail hike, we can take everybody. You know, there's so much space. But for Shelf Road, there's only 7 seats in the van plus me. So, you know, pretty limited number.
That was great, Dan. Even though SOP is also part of the things that I get to learn and do on campus, I always love hearing Dan and John, our director, talk about it and the direct interaction that they have with students. Many of your students are likely participating in pre-orientation, and Dan and John have communicated a lot with your student about what to expect at that, what to pack, all of those things. So be on the lookout for that email. But remember that pre is not the only time to get involved with the SOP. We have students every year who do their first trip their senior year. It's never too late to hang out with our SOP friends. So I'm going to ask everybody, all of our panelists, to come back on the screen, and we're going to field a couple of questions that we got in the pre-registration process for this webinar. Now is the time. If you have other ones, feel free. Again, you can submit them in the chat. You can submit them in the Q&A, and we will answer them. I'll get my panelists to share their wisdom. So one of the things that sometimes comes up for parents and family members as they think about their student, they worry because their student might be a little shy, might be a little more introverted, a little more reserved, and maybe not as outgoing. So how do you see students like that make friends at Sewanee? And anybody can start.
I'll start. I agree again, Assistant Director of Student Programs. One way that I see students make friends and just within that connectivity space is at the Bill Commons. The Bill Commons is open from 8 a.m. to 10 p.m. On Monday through Friday and Saturday at 10 a.m. to 10 p.m. So there's a vast majority of time in there for students to interact with each other. There's games that can create connectivities. Just being around that kind of new space as well. I'm assuming and I'm hoping that a lot of the new students and parents as well come to the Bill Commons and really just connect in those spaces. We have players, we have other students who are ready to connect with new students, and also going to your local partner events as well. And so we have a wide variety of organizations here on this campus. And again, just like Tiger Entertainment Board, our first event is going to be a foam party, and we'll have a DJ, lights, foam, and then ice cream. Who doesn't like ice cream? I'm lactose intolerant, but I still love ice cream. Unless you're allergic, do not eat ice cream. But we'll have gelato, which you can indulge in. But that'll be on the 29th. But go to those specific things, even with Morgan's area, Carter's area, and Dan's area. Once you go to one of their events, there's always going to be someone new. Also, I really encourage your student just being friendly and open. Everyone loves to talk to each other here. It's that old Southern drawl. When you pass someone on the sidewalk, I know I'm guilty of it all the time, just saying hi to someone. I know in the North, we don't do it a lot, but in the South, we do it here. And so just get your students to open their minds and go to those events as well. And I'll stop there because I can keep going.
Yeah, those were great ideas. Other thoughts from our panelists?
I would love to echo everything that Ivory has also said. One specific event that comes to mind from civic engagement is 2 years ago, the university gave us Martin Luther King Jr. Day off. And so our office turned that into an opportunity for us to bring the whole community together to do a day of service, which is really typical on a lot of college campuses across our nation. And so what we do is we've partnered with an organization called Sleep in Heavenly Peace. That is it's the South Pittsburgh, Tennessee chapter. And what they do is they provide beds for children ages 3 to 17 who do not have one. And what we do is we set up in our gym on campus. And last year we had their biggest bed build in one day that they've ever had. We were able to build 200 beds. And then students were able to later volunteer to go and deliver those to the families that were going to receive them. And so that is an event that's open to not just students and not just people on campus. It is truly a community event. And so just as Ivory said, going and putting themselves out there is a great way to meet folks. But I think Sewanee is especially a special place where students can forge relationships with people, not just their age, but also it's a very intergenerational experience, I would say, coming to Sewanee, where you're able to have really deep relationships with not just people that you're sitting next to in class or living next to in your res hall, but you are also able to know the dining hall workers really well and know each other by your first name, or meet one of our elderly neighbors and get a regular job dog walking, something like that, right? There's lots of opportunities to be had when you think of the community more holistically beyond just what's happening on campus.
Absolutely. Any other thoughts? Okay, the next question is, what's some advice you might have for our parents and family members of what they could do and how they might be able to help their student who maybe calls home feeling a little homesick as they've transitioned to college?
I'll take a jump at this one. So I think I've had some students, over the course of my time here at Sewanee, come and express that to me. And I think a really important thing is to kind of figure out a solid routine and get into a really solid routine that works for you and that you can rely on. So I really, obviously student organizations are an opportunity for students to add something to their routine that's pretty powerful that they get into. So, regular attendance. I talked about the culinary club earlier, but say, the culinary club meets on Wednesdays, and you can kind of rely on that meeting and use those relationships to then extend to other things, and kind of not overbook yourself, but in between classes, find time to go to Sterling's and get a coffee, and then really rely on those times where you don't want to have too much free time, to really rely on your routine and those things that make you feel connected to Sewanee, because it doesn't happen right away. You're not going to feel connected right away, but if you allow yourself time to get into a solid routine, and it'll allow you to connect to a place that's so special.
Great answer, Carter. That is actually one of the things that our students said on the student panel was get a routine. That's a great one. Other thoughts about what can a parent, how could they advise their student who's feeling homesick?
Yeah. So this one speaks to the heart with me. So with this one specifically, one thing that I urge parents to do is to support their students and reassure them that it is okay to go out there and connect. It's okay to go out there and have fun and have friends, but also really hone in on the fact what they're here for. They're here for an education. And then as a parent, just being that supportive piece. So I know when I was in college, for example, me and my aunt, she's the one that raised me. We used to have a very strong bond. So it got to the point where I called her every other day and just talked to her. But I didn't let that stop me. She's not the only person I talked to. I made friends. Network with your professors, network with your mentors, grab a mentor. I encourage you to tell your student to grab a mentor while they're here, to show them along the way and really share everything that's going on. Also, one thing as a parent, well, I'm not a parent, but one thing that a piece of advice that I could share is let your students just be free. This is their college time. They're going to call home, but they are going to enjoy their experience and just be that support system for them.
Yeah. Great advice, Ivory. So we had a question come in about the theater department because we didn't get to talk about arts. Lots of arts things happening on campus. Does anybody want to share any of their favorite arts things that they've done, either with the theater and dance department, our robust music department? I've got some things. Yeah, Morgan.
First of all, I love our arts department. I love our theater department. I love our music department. One of the amazing things about being on a college campus is that you're able to access all of these things for absolutely no cost. Our theater department puts on several productions each year in our Tennessee Williams Center that are public and free. And it's really fun for students to be able to go and support their friends who may be in those productions or even working behind the scenes, and just appreciating the craftsmanship that goes into the like beautiful sceneries and sets that they can see during those productions. We have a university art gallery that features guest artists we have a lot of exhibits that is free for students to go and just look at. We also have some student gallery opportunities. So students who are majoring or just taking an art class are also able to share the work that they're producing while they're in those classes. And that's really fun to see, just like what our own students are able to do and see them sharing their talents. Very similarly, we also have several music groups on campus. We have the Sewanee Symphony Orchestra, which is made up of students, faculty, staff, community members. So it's truly a community orchestra, but it takes place here on our university's campus, and they have various concerts. We also have different a cappella groups that perform at different points in the year. There are different concerts that students who are majoring or minoring in music are able to showcase the pieces that they've been working on. I'll stop there, but I would just say, like, Sewanee is such a place for the arts, and I would encourage your students to, go and see what's there. There are times where they could go and explore those opportunities on their own, or they could also grab a friend and go see a play one evening. Those are so much fun, and you can do them all right here on our campus, and it would be a real shame to not take advantage of that while they're living here for 4 years.
Absolutely. Great plug, Morgan. A couple of things I would add are, and I will just share a link in the chat in just a moment, but the music department does music ensemble placement and audition. So not all of our ensembles require audition. Like the university choir is very large and very welcoming. They want to do placement, right? So not nervous audition, but placement. And students can sign up for that during orientation. I'll send the link for the sign up because we would love for them, if they have been in the band and like played the clarinet, but don't want to major in music, they can still play their instrument. Or if they don't want to major in theater but still want to be in the play, they can still audition. Carter also with our student orgs works with several groups related to the arts. I can think of the Fine Arts House, which is one of our theme houses on campus, as well as the Crafting Guild, which is another theme house. We have a maker space for those who want to do things we don't allow you to keep in the residence hall, like saws and 3D printers and all of that. But they have an appropriate space for that on campus, where they can do all of those things. But we also have lots of students who are doing, one of our work studies in the Dean of Students office is the president of one of the a cappella groups. We have a gospel choir. So like if your student loves the arts, even if they're not going to major in that, they can still take voice lessons and get credit for that. That's great elective credit, or get involved with one of our student organizations. So great question. Okay, my next question is about jobs on campus. So how do students learn about getting a job on campus, and what kinds of jobs might be available to them if they want to work while they go to school?
Thank you, Emily, for that question. I'll start with this one. So specifically, there's two avenues. Well, there's a couple avenues that you can go with jobs. One is federal work study. If your student has federal work study, they should have already received an email from work study. Please, parents, make sure that they go to that email and accept that work study, because without accepting emailing them and accepting work study cannot award your student the work study placement. So they will not have a job, and that's lost out on scholarship. So that would be my number one thing that I would say to your students. And then two is institutional work study. That's where we can specifically hire students that are not eligible or don't get the federal work study. You can hear about jobs on Handshake. So Handshake, if you're federal work study, that is one place where your student can go and read all the job descriptions and find what they're interested in. And they will, if they apply, their supervisor current supervisor or upcoming supervisor will be able to reach out to them and conduct a formal interview. Or tell students to check their emails. And I know students get a lot of emails, but there's emails that are very important in there. Sometimes even me, I send out emails to students that say, hey, I have 5 positions at the Bill Commons, which is in my other segue. Great segue to this. I have 5 positions at the Bill Commons that we would love for students to apply for. And so all they have to do is email me. It is rroberts or Robert, Robert. And Emily, could you put that in the chat, or I will, at sewanee.edu. They can send me their resume and just a little bit about themselves, and I'll reach out for an interview. And but I'm ready to hire. Also, Tiger Entertainment Board. If they have federal work study, I am accepting federal work study students for Tiger Entertainment Board. And Tiger Entertainment Board plans events that your students want to see. That's kind of the student voice. And so I always say to students, if your student wants to see an event or something on campus, tell them to join TEB because they can assist planning that. But there's many jobs on campus, but they're the only 2 I'm responsible for. So we'd love to have your students there.
Yeah. Who else has jobs on campus?
Emily, I saw that you shared a link to our career readiness office. I would just say to the parents out there, that is such a resource on Sewanee's campus. And so I also just want to speak to the jobs off campus as well. I had mentioned the Bonner and Canale paid internship programs and the AmeriCorps program. Those are paid opportunities. So if your student is looking for resources or aren't eligible for work studies, those are also great opportunities for them to get paid to do really amazing work. But I will just say in the spring semester, students will be able to start applying for summer internships, and those are posted through our career readiness office's website. And I will just say, Sewanee has done an amazing job creating a lot of resources for students to be able to have those internship opportunities. And so if a student finds that there's an unpaid internship program that they're interested in, Sewanee has a lot of amazing funding resources for students to take advantage of, so they can have as full of an experience while they're in and outside of Sewanee. So just a quick little plug about internships is that we have a lot of resources to help students have those career exploration opportunities.
Yes, never too early to connect with career readiness and student success. Your student will be assigned a coach, and they will help them with many things, including academic skills, but also career prep, resume review, cover letter practice, all of that great stuff that they can all benefit from. Anybody else want to chime in about jobs before I answer a quick question about different types of jobs? Okay, so we've talked about all the different ways that students can work on campus, and just to clarify some of those, one of the primary ways that students have jobs on campus is through their financial aid package. And so some students will qualify for a program through the federal government that is federal work study. And so what that allows them to do is get paid to work on campus. The benefit to us as an institution is that we don't pay for it. The federal government provides that as a grant to the student. Our office has 2 work studies. Carter supervises 5-ish positions.
6.
6, there you go. The SOP has some work study positions. And so some roles that your student may be looking for on Handshake may say work study required or only federal work study. So if that is not part of their aid package, they're not eligible for that role. There are other kinds. So there's institutional work study, which works the same way, except we pay for it as an institution. The benefit of those jobs is that they are absolutely designed for them to be students. There's a cap on the amount of hours they can work in a semester, all of those sort of flexible things that you might hope for them to have. And then there's tons of other jobs on campus and in the community. I have not yet run into a student who has a job on or off campus that didn't understand they were a student first, but that can sometimes happen, right? We can't guarantee that like we can with our work study positions. And so that's sort of the difference. So if you're not sure if your student has work study or not, that will be part of their aid package, and I will drop financial aid's contact information in the chat. They are super helpful and happy to answer any of your questions. Great question that just popped up that is sort of logistical in nature about student scheduling. So all first-year students, we create their fall schedules. A team in student success and career readiness creates every single schedule, which is a Herculean task. I got an update on Monday that there were 70 students left to schedule. So all but 70 have been scheduled. Students should be able to see that starting on August 10th-ish. They will get an email that says your schedule is posted. They can anticipate that they will have 4 classes on their schedule, and we'll also get their academic advisor announced then as well. We know that sometimes makes it hard to schedule jobs and all of those kinds of things, but any of the pieces that, again, any of those work study jobs, we know they're waiting on their schedule if they're freshmen, and so we will wait for them. Any of the on-campus jobs are going to absolutely know that and be flexible and wait for them to schedule once they get that. But that should come, again, it will come to their email. It will also be visible to them in their banner portal and on Brightspace, which is our learning management software. So your student may have used Canvas or Blackboard or any number of other things in high school, but ours is called Brightspace. But they'll definitely get an email that says their schedule is ready. So that will be coming. So it's happening. We're really excited. Okay, my next question is more on the social side. If a student wants to hang out and be social, but maybe isn't like a party kind of person, what can they do on the weekends? What is available to them? Where can they hang out?
Emily, I feel like this question was meant for me to go first. I know I keep saying Bill Commons, but the Bill Commons is absolutely a great place to hang out. There are a variety of places to hang out on campus, specifically the Bill Commons. But if you don't want to go to the Bill Commons, there's a lot of outdoor spaces as well. I do see a lot of students just taking hammocks and going outside with the mini trees that we do have. I call them all hammock trees because they're kind of two put together, and just hanging out with the friends. On the weekends, there's a lot of intramural sports that happen with the Fowler Center, and there's specific things that happen in our little downtown area. They can go get something to eat at the Blue Chair or Shenanigans. They can also just wander around campus. It's a lovely campus to walk on.
Yeah. Also, Dan, I know you've got an SOP plug here.
Yeah, I do. Well, I wanted to start out, when I was coming to Sewanee, this was the question for me, not personally, but that I was getting all the time. And I honestly have not been hearing it as much, and I'm very happy about that. This is really an untrue kind of thought for a lot of people, that there's nothing to do up here. So I'm happy to see that waning for reasons like Ivory is mentioning, right? The Beale Commons, there's a lot of great ways for people to be together with each other. And of course, yes, the SOP does the majority of the work on the weekend. And there were times when we're sending out 8 trips a weekend. And, I've seen students do all 8 and others do a couple and then hang out afterwards. But yeah, there are lots of wonderful things to do up here, and I can say that as a staff member who lives here, who's grown up and decided to stick around. Yeah, so I'm glad to see that question kind of being less important among our students, because I remember getting here and everybody talking about that.
Yeah.
Yeah. My
We're
2 cents.
investing in that. That's awesome. Carter.
Yeah.
Absolutely. To go a little further on what Ivory and Dan said, number one, all those things are on Engage to see what's going on, so you can see what's going on, and so that's the plug there. When in doubt, always take a look at Engage to see what's going on. And I think I'll just describe let's say a Friday night in the winter. So on all the activities so we could have a men's or women's basketball game doubleheader on a Friday that they could attend. Before, you can go get a coffee at Sterling's. After, maybe walk downtown, like Ivory said, go to Blue Chair, Shenanigans, and then maybe, check Engage and see maybe the German House is having a brat night, meet and greet, or disco dance night at one of the theme houses. That would be completely substance free, and that would be advertised on Engage. So I completely agree with Dan that you have go and look for the opportunities, because they're very much there.
Awesome. Well,
Yes.
we're gonna wrap
I
up.
did
Go
want to
ahead.
say there is a golf course,
Yes.
a great big golf course that students do to get discounts at as well.
Yes, the membership for students is quite affordable. So if your son or daughter, your student is a golfer, check it out. We got lots of athletics things, not just for our varsity athletes. And because we are Division III, your students know the athletes very well. They're their roommate, they're their friend. So go cheer on the lacrosse team. Even if you don't know anything about lacrosse, they'll teach you when you're there. All of those kinds of things. Okay, so as we wrap up, to be mindful of time, I would love for our panelists to just wrap us up by saying, if you had one tip to give the parent or family member of an incoming student, what would it be?
I would say be curious with your student, ask them questions about their experience. Even if they don't want to share, press them a little bit, be like, well, what are you finding interesting about your classes? Who are some of the fun people that you're meeting? I would just say just be encouraging of them, give them space, let them have the experience that they want to have. This is a great time for them to be able to explore different things that they may never have been exposed to before. And so just as they're being curious and being open-minded, I would say practice that for yourselves, and just be curious about what they're doing and love them through that.
My advice would be to be your student's #1 advocate. Going through college is very difficult. They're moving away from home. They don't have guardians to say, hey, wake up, or come downstairs, or just go to the kitchen and get a really late night snack. And like Morgan said, be supportive of your student, very communicative, and make sure and that you communicate to your student that you're their number one advocate and they can succeed, because that's all they're really looking for. And we cannot fill in the gap of the parent, but you can fill in the gap of the communication and really being there for the student.
One of my main tips would be to encourage your students to stay on campus, even if you live close to Sewanee and that transition is tough at first, a little homesick. You want to go home, and I completely understand the urge to do that. I would just encourage you to encourage your students to stay on campus and try to engage in the opportunities and make relationships. And it's a lot harder to do that if you're not on campus. So that would be one of my primary tips.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'll hop in the end here. Carter, that's great. I agree entirely. Push through the discomfort. We all know smile and wave. We've heard it, maybe. I still have to remind myself of that today, going about. I was in Wyoming last week visiting friends, and they've got all these friends, and I'm like still shy sometimes. I'm just, okay, I'm gonna do it. Like, hello, my name's Dan. Yeah, and so just smile and say hi, maybe would be my tip, and just get in there and start meeting people.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think in a previous webinar, I've given several tips, but mine for this one is to help your student remember that basically everyone around them is also nervous. They're also new for the first time as a new student. They've never been a sophomore in college before, right? So even our seniors have never been seniors before, and they're nervous about what comes next. So everyone around them is feeling a little nervy. And so it's okay. It's okay to feel a little uncomfortable, like Dan said. So say hello, show up, don't go home yet, right? All of those things I think are important, and to remind them that it's not weird to feel a little weird. It's part of it, and they'll do just great. So anybody have any last things before we wrap up? Okay, well, we've given you a lot of information. It was probably felt like drinking water from a fire hose, but we hope it was helpful, and we will continue to reach out to you. Susan Askew is hosting an event tonight, so she couldn't be here from the Sewanee Parent and Family Association, but she will continue to send you newsletters. You are now part of the Sewanee family, alum or not, you're one of us, and we want you to have all the information. So if you've got questions, we'll stick around for just a second, but otherwise, we appreciate you being here tonight. We look forward to seeing your student whenever they arrive in August, no matter what program they're doing, and to see y'all as well. Thanks so much for coming, and thank you, panelists, for your great advice and the great information that you have shared.